Hey guys! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. I'm so grateful as always that you guys are listening, subscribing and commenting on my channel. I really appreciate the support. In this video I want to speak to you guys about how when you are living the kind of life that you want to lead, you're being authentic to yourself, you're doing the things that you wish to do with your life, it happens auto-magically that people will just self-filter themselves out, or they'll filter themselves out automatically without you having to even do anything. This happens because when you are, younger, I guess, or when I was younger, let me use myself as an example. When I was younger, I had a certain way of doing things. I wanted to fit in. That was one of my main things actually when I was younger, was that I wanted to fit in. I never fitted in, and it was really difficult for me to fit in. So my main thing with everything that I did was, okay, is this going to make me fit in or not, right? If I do this, will the people around me, my friends, will they like me more? Will they want to hang out with me more? Will they love me more? Will they be all right with me being weird and quirky as I am, right? So that was my thing always. I always thought to myself, no matter what I did, will this make me fit in? Of course, now it's completely a different story. But back then, that was what it was. And so I did everything in order to make sure that the people that were around me, my friends, family, etc., stayed around me and loved me and appreciated me and wanted to be around me, right? Now, as I said, the story is completely different because I realized as time went on is that I was basically killing off parts of myself that were unacceptable to the people around me to fit in. So, for example, if someone didn't like the fact that I loved animals and would do anything for them, then, not that anyone would hate that, but I'm just using that as an example, terrible example. But if someone didn't like a part of me, I would basically be like, all right, even if it's a very important part to me, even if it's something that's really important to me, to be me, I would still take that away for that person's comfort, for that person to accept me, for that person to love me more. Right? And I did that so many times throughout my life, so many times. This weird need that INFJs have in order to fit in, because we never do fit in, right? That happens when we're younger. As we get older, we realize, it doesn't really matter anyways, because we're not going to fit in anyways. And what's the point? I'm not going to kill myself or parts of myself that I love in order to fit in. But when we're younger, we're completely different. Right? We're trying to be more normal. We're trying to fit in because we're not comfortable with ourselves. We don't have that confidence yet. And also, we're also alone, right? And you don't want to be alone as a child. You want to be surrounded by people that love you. You want to be loved. You want to be appreciated. You don't want to feel like, your parents could abandon you at any moment, or your friends could abandon you at any moment because you're not what they expected you to be, right? Now, as I said, now I'm 35, so if anyone does abandon me, it doesn't really matter because I can take care of myself. I'm independent enough that I can do whatever I want, and it doesn't matter if those people are around me or not. But as a child, it's a completely different story. Even as a teenager or even in your early 20s, there is this innate desire within you in order to fit in order to change yourself, in order to manipulate yourself or mold yourself to what those other people want you to be. And which is totally normal. And if you are doing that right now, don't worry about it too much. Don't think that you're a horrible person or you're a bad INFJ or you're a bad person in any way. That's not the case. You're just trying to do what's necessary in order to be in this world so that you're not ostracized. Yeah, that's something. That's a human desire to be around people and to have social connections, to be in a community, etc. So that's totally fine. And that's something that I think all INFJs go through, those phases where we are killing parts of ourselves off in order to fit in. But as you get older, you will realize that, you are basically causing soul death. You're causing your spiritual part or your innate essence to die off because you're not living authentically to yourself, right? And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people go through that midlife crisis or that quarter life crisis, because all of a sudden they realize that they've been living according to someone else's plan for them, someone else's desires or needs for them, right? They haven't been really living up to their own standards or needs or desires. They haven't been living up to the way they want to do things. They haven't been changing themselves all throughout their life, and all of a sudden it's not acceptable to them anymore because they realize perhaps that they're getting old or they're going to die soon, and if they just are going to spend their entire lives being someone else, then what is the point of being alive, right? What is even the point of being alive if you're not even going to live true to yourself, right? And so when you have that crisis, which I did as well, and I've spoken about it, all of a sudden you're like, this is unacceptable. I'm not going to live like this anymore. I've lived like this enough. I've done everything for other people all of this time. I've made them feel good about themselves and made them feel good by molding myself to their needs and desires. That's enough nonsense for now. Now it's time for me to live according to my standards and according to my desires and needs. So little by little, what the process is that you start learning about yourself. You're like, all right, cool. So who am I really? When you've been wearing a mask for so long, when you've been wearing those, ideas or ideals that other people have for you for so long, you take it off and you realize you actually have no idea what the hell you really are about. You have no idea what you really like. What would you like? Do you like scrambled eggs, or do you only like them because your parents like them or because your partner likes them? Right? You don't know. So the process is to relearn yourself, relearn all about yourself. Because as a baby, we know everything about ourselves, and all of a sudden, as children and as teenagers, we kind of put on all these roles or put on all these masks to, fit in with the people around us. But then again, we take off those masks little by little, and we realize, okay, what am I really? What do I really like? What do I really want to do with my life here on this planet, right? And so little by little, we realize ourselves, we understand ourselves, we figure ourselves out. And you'll notice, the main point of this video, you'll notice that as you do that, as you start taking off masks and putting on your real roles, realizing your real roles or real desires or reality of who you are, you'll notice that, again, people will start pushing back. The people in your life, they can be like, but why are you changing? You weren't like this before, and what's going on with you? And there'll be a lot of emotional blackmail. There's going to be a lot of guilt tripping. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to feel like you're abandoning them, that you're not the same person anymore, that you're a horrible person, you're not a good daughter, you're not a good sister, you're not a good brother, you're not a good mother, you're not a good wife, good husband, whatever it might be. There's going to be a lot of different things that are going to kind of come at you. Because what's happening is that these people are realizing that you are changing, and any kind of change for people in your life is always going to be like, oh, what's going on? I don't really like this. I don't like the fact that she's changing. I don't like the fact that she's doing this. I want her to go back to her self that makes me feel comfortable, because that's the whole point of them. Like, it's not because we're not doing anything to make them feel uncomfortable. That's not our innate desire. But it does, because we're changing, and that makes them feel like, oh, was that not really you? Then who was I dealing with all this time? And why can't you just stay the same? I was comfortable with that. I thought you were comfortable with it. Why are you changing? Right? And I get a lot of this from my parents, obviously, because, they know me the best. They've known me for all this time. And of course, I'm changing a lot because I'm realizing who I really am. And I really want to move more and more and more towards that real authentic self of mine. But that really makes them uncomfortable, because that's something or someone they don't know. They have no idea who this person is. And so they're getting really uncomfortable. And there's a lot of pushback. There's a lot of pushback from them, from my friends, from people around me all the time, right? Now, as I said, they're going to self-filter themselves out. They're going to filter themselves out because they're going to realize that you're not the person that they thought that you were, okay? And so one of the main things that happens with this journey is that you're going to lose people. You're going to lose a lot of people from your life, a lot of people. In fact, so much so that you're going to end up being alone again. And you're going to be like, well, what the hell? I worked so hard to fit in and to make all these friendships and to bring all these people into my life. And then again, I'm alone again. Right? That's okay. That's normal. It's totally fine. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this video as well, is because I wanted to remind you that this is actually just a phase. So you're going to go through this phase where people are just going to filter themselves out. They're going to be like, well, you're not the person I thought you were. I don't think I can be friends with you anymore. Perhaps they'll have that conversation with you. Perhaps they'll just leave and they won't even tell you that we're not friends anymore. And I've had that happen a lot, where people just stopped talking to me because perhaps I was too different, or they didn't like me anymore, or I wasn't the kind of person they wanted to hang out with, whatever it was. And so I had a phase where so many people left from my life. So many people that I was extremely alone. In fact, the only people that actually hung out with me anymore were my family, and because they had to. I mean, they couldn't abandon me. They were family. And so the only people that, as I said, I had around me were my family, and everyone else had already left. because they had realized that I was not who they wanted me to be. I was not pretending anymore, and they didn't like my new self, and so they left, right? As I said, they filtered themselves out, and so they're gone. And then there's the space created for you to bring in new people, for the universe to bring in new people into your life. People who are actually going to be fine with your new self, who are going to actually appreciate you for who you are, who you truly are, rather than the games or the roles or the masks you put on. Okay? And so that's when you're going to really build those friendships, those authentic friendships. They're going to last forever, no matter what happens. Because these people are not there for you to comfort them. They're not there so you can play a role so they feel better about themselves. They're there so that they can appreciate the real you. They're there so they can be around the real you. And all of a sudden you realize it's not a task anymore. It's not hard anymore to be around people, because you're not putting on all these masks or playing all these roles. You're just being yourself. And so it's not tiring to be around those people anymore. It's not tiring to be around these people, and you can just relax and be yourself. And that's when really things start changing for you. That's when you really start living your authentic life, because you don't have to play that stupid role anymore, whatever that role might be. You don't have to put on those really heavy, suffocating masks anymore, because you don't have to do that anymore. It's fine. Everything is all right. Yeah. So I wanted to do this video in order to kind of make you guys realize what the phases are, or the steps are of this journey that we're on, of first of all playing a role, and then taking off all those roles, and then losing all of the people in our life, and then gaining some people back, a few more people back. Not all of them. Maybe you'll have 20 friends before and maybe 3 after, but those 3 friends will be really authentically, truly yours, and they will appreciate you for who you really are. Okay, so that's how it goes. So if you are in any of these phases right now, if you are in the phase where you are trying to fit in, that's okay. That's one of the phases of life. That's one of the phases that you have to go through in order to go off to the next one. So do not fear, do not worry about it, do not doubt yourself, do not feel anxious about it. It's just a phase, and you're going to go through it, and you're going to come out at the other end of the tunnel. It's totally fine. Again, if you guys have any questions about this or any of the topics that I've done, please message me anytime. A lot of the topics I speak about are abstract, and they do require a little bit perhaps of thinking, and also not only that, but perhaps a little bit of clarification from me. So message me anytime. I'm happy to help, happy to clarify, happy to do anything like that. Again, all my contact information is in the description below, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.